Universal, What America Voice, KQWZ 106.5 Low Power FM en South King County y KTQA 95.3 Low Power FM en Tacoma y Pierce County unen su señal para llevar hasta ustedes el siguiente programa.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, dear audience. We are at the Siembra Radio Show this morning, and we have our radio host, Yazmin, transmitting from her office this morning. And we have Karla, our co-host this morning, and our guests as well. So, Yazmin, the microphone is all yours to do the presentation. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Hi, buenos días. Good morning, Bernice. Good morning, Karla. ¿Cómo están?
Buenos días, buenos
How you guys doing?
Oh, good.
Yes. We're gonna start. Vamos a empezar el programa esta mañana. Espero que todas las personas estén. We're doing it in English. Back and forth. Anyway, I just wanted to say hello to everyone that is listening to the show through VT Radio Universal, through our Facebook page, through our YouTube. We have a VT Radio YouTube channel, as you guys can watch and listen to us through that channel too. I just wanted to give you guys a good morning. It's a beautiful morning in the Pacific Northwest. We still feel like we in the summer. It's a beautiful morning, and we are celebrating a long weekend of Labor Day. So happy Labor Day to everyone. I know a lot of people are gonna have extended weekend tomorrow. A lot of people are gonna be off. So enjoy your family, enjoy the weather, because you know what? Life is short. It is short. So we are here to live our life and live it abundantly. I wanted to introduce my co-host. She sits with me every first Sunday of the month. We have Karla Applin. And also we have a special guest in this Labor Day weekend, Bernice Branch. And we're going to start she's going to tell us her journey of being being part of the military, the armed forces, and also how is that her experience being a mom, a wife, a daughter, and being in the armed forces. So we're going to get a little bit of story. We're going to have conversation. Yes. It's going to be more of a conversation. Also, I like to talk a little bit about what's going on in the mainstream. That means nationally and locally. Remember that Washington State is a state that they have an election every year. So right now we in the midterm election. So please go out and vote. It's very important for us to participate in this process, especially right now. I'm very worried with the way we're going with the leadership and with the way the politics are going in this country. I know Karla always mentions something that we celebrate in the month. So I'm gonna give her a moment for her to also tell us what we're celebrating in September.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to mention a little bit about what's going on abroad. Right now, we have a lot of things that are going on in Mississippi with the water and with the flood. Please, that's why we have to go vote, because locally, the people that govern our country or state they're responsible for the water, they're responsible for our taxes, they're responsible for school, they're responsible for the water that we're gonna drink, all those things. So it's very, very important that we vote locally. So I now, with not too much to say, I'm gonna give it to my co-host, because she is always have something to say about what we celebrating this month. So go ahead, Karla.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited about having Master Sergeant Branch here with me today. We work together, and I really, as a as a woman, I feel very, very, very proud of her leadership, of her involvement in the community. I was rooting for her. But so this month, I would like to talk about what the observance is. Why? Because it tries a little bit of attention to some items that are important to remember, to know that we still have to focus on those things to make our life better every day. So one of the things that I thought that was very kind of like, I won't say, it is very important. We celebrated National Wildlife Day. We all know about climate change, what's going on. So please keep that in mind. Let's try to educate ourselves about climate change and what we can do at our level. Don't think that you are too small to do something about it, So get informed. Also, today, something fun is eat an extra dessert day. So you get your favorite pastry, or are you in your diet? Break it today. Get an extra dessert day. It's fine. But more importantly, this month is Suicide Prevention Month. So let's pay attention to our loved ones, to our friends, to our coworkers, and let's see if how we can help them. Just to listening and pay attention to see if there are any kind of changes. Now we're starting fall and winter. Winter here in Washington is hard for everyone, so it's very important to pay attention to mood changes. What do you think that person is not like they usually are? If they don't call you, if they don't talk to you. I personally try to, when I don't hear from one of my friends, I try to give them a call, say, hey, what's going on, And like Yazmin always say, sometimes you feel like talking, sometimes you don't feel like talking, and that's fine. But just like a little checkup, and making sure that let them know that you love them, that you want to know how they're doing, and that you are there for them. But and that's one of the reasons why we have here Sargent Branch, is because 26 August we celebrated the Women's Equality Month. And why we celebrated that is because 1920, the 19th Amendment was passed. So what does that mean? It gave us the right to vote, and it gave us the right to own property. Can you guys believe that 100 years ago we couldn't do that? We couldn't own stuff as a woman. Wow. So it is very, very important to vote. Wow, yeah. You have to vote. That is a right that was fought for. It wasn't just given to us just because. There was people behind it that lobbied for us to have a voice. We need to use it. It's very extremely important. Everything, all this stuff that are going on, from weather, from health, everything is worked with your vote. So with that said, here's Sergeant Branch. We are so happy to have you. And we want to know a little bit about you. Tell us a little about your story, where you grew up, how you decided to join the Air Force.
Yeah, definitely. I was born in Pomona, California. But I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada is what I claim that I grew up. I have 3 children, and I am married. We are both in the military, so we're both in the Air Force. When I had, the reason why I had joined the military was because we have a strong military connection in the family. So my grandfather, he was in the Navy. He served in the Vietnam War. My cousin is still in the Navy. And it was very surprising to them when I joined the Air Force. So it was very surprising. I had a...
Was it surprising because thought that you would prefer another career, or because you were a woman?
So my grandfather actually told me one day that he didn't want me in the military. He told me I was too pretty. But he was a strong Mexican man, so he didn't want me to join the military. But when he found out that I was joining the military, he was surprised I didn't go in the Navy.
Oh.
But I did have a strong influence in high school. I was in JRTC, and it was Air Force JRTC. So that really brought me into getting to know a lot about the Air Force, and it changed my decision. I joined the Air Force. And so that is the reason why I joined the Air Force, and also because I wanted to travel. So the military has really allowed me to really pursue my goals in traveling, seeing the world. And then, of course, I got a free education in the military. So
very important.
Yes,
very important.
Very important. Yeah.
Yes,
I ended up getting my bachelor's in business management. So I got my free education there. So it's been a great journey so far.
Yes. The military offers a lot of very good benefits, not only to you, but to your whole family. So also, tell us how it has been for you as a woman, and two, as a Hispanic, being in the military.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think would have been kind of like challenges?
Yes, there's definitely been challenges, and then also pros and cons, both pros and cons. The challenges, I would say, being a female in the military is, honestly, I feel like you're being judged in everything that you're doing. So it's really easy to mess up in the military, I think, as a female. But if you're sticking with it and you're on top of it, then you should be just fine. And then, of course, as a Hispanic in the military, I think it's been rewarding, very rewarding. I think there has been a lot of great things about being Hispanic in the military. I am able to relate to a lot of the minorities in the military, and of course, when I see another Hispanic, we automatically have that connection.
That click.
Yeah. Because there's very few of us, right? So
Yes.
There's very few of us in the military.
I must say, when I started, I have been working for the Department of Defense with the Air Force for 20 years now, and I remember when I just first started, I didn't see that many Hispanic representation.
Right.
And it has grown so much.
It has.
And I feel very proud that more and more we are getting to the higher ranks.
Yes.
And I'm very proud too that females. There is a lot of female leadership right now, like flight commanders in our unit. Mm-hmm. So that is very amazing. So go girls.
Yes.
So that's really good.
One of the things that I was reading up last night is the history of women in the military. Women have in the military since a 1840, something like that. I'm not sure, but just doing jobs like nursing, sewing, doing stuff like that, taking care of people. But right now I was reading that for the last 10 years, we have 4 women of color in the Naval SEAL that are commanders in the Naval SEAL. And we have more women, they opening more that space for women and women of color. Now, my question to you, what is, and I think you already said it, having your college degree and also traveling, how is that change your view of the world? How it is that because when you travel abroad and when you live in other cultures and mingle with other people from other different cultures, your vision of the world is very different than just living here in the United States.
Yes, it really is. I've had the opportunity to live in Japan. I've seen Asia, all parts of Asia, Thailand. I've also been deployed to the Middle East before, so my vision of the world has definitely changed. America is very blessed to be where we are at as far as females and having the power to do things. In the other countries, they're not quite there. So I would say the vision of the world is we are definitely getting there, and we still have a long ways to go, though. But.
And so saying that, I think in the state is the beacon of life for a lot of other countries to follow. So with that said, we have to be very careful on the things that are going on in our country right now. I'm coming from Panama, a country that was under dictatorship for about 20 years, and certain things just I think there are triggering certain I don't know, certain warning signs that I think we take for granted. Democracy, she's a lady that needs to be taken care of. And again, and I'm gonna say many times, voting is your voice. You need to use it. But also, I think, do you think that I mean, I'm sure, because as a military spouse, my husband retired, I was able to travel with him too. And I think traveling, it really opens your empathy, compassion,
Yes.
Points of view, and it really helps you understand other cultures. And since here at the state we have, I think it's a blessing to have such a diversity in our country.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Some people can understand that, but
Yeah.
it is a blessing. It's a challenge, but it's also a blessing.
It is a challenge, and it's also a blessing, and I really wish that a lot more people would take advantage of what we have to offer in America: education, of course our rights and stuff like that. But as far as dealing with the other countries and being a part of their culture, I've given a lot of respect to not only other cultures but our own as well. So
Yes, definitely. But now we talk about traveling and also deployment, and I know you are gonna be deploying soon, but I know also that for it's hard to leave your kids.
yes.
Yes, so
The babies.
as a military women, you sometimes you're gonna have to leave your kids for a extended period of time. I mean, I'm not
Yes.
talking like 1-2 weeks. I'm talking for months.
Yes.
And it is a challenge, not only for you as a mom, but for your kids and your spouse.
It is. I would say that's the biggest challenge that I have being a part of the military is having to be apart from my kids. That is probably the most challenging. I would say a lot of people agree with me in the military. We deal with a lot of stuff, but when you have to leave your loved ones behind, whether you're going on an extended TDY or you're going to be deployed, or even if you have to PCS and be without your kids for a while, that is probably the most challenging in the military because it really breaks you down inside. You try to keep strong and keep it together. You still have to show up to work with a smile on your face and be ready to work, no matter how you're really feeling inside. So, and of course, being away from the kids is a challenge. And all moms know that the father is always great, but they are not the best. The mother is the one that does everything.
Yes, and you know what? And I was thinking about that. We have to reach equality not only in the job environment, but also at home.
At home, yeah.
At home. Because women, we go to college, we do this, we go to work, whatever, but we still come back home and we are expected to be like, I don't know, the ones that does everything and looks out for everybody.
Yes.
And I think we need to, and I think it is changing. I'm sure that couples now, they say they are like, okay, we support each other at a more plain level.
Yes.
And especially both of you are in the military, so you guys have to support each other.
Yes,
because,
definitely.
He will go away,
So-
you stay, and the vice versa.
So
Yes.
that's what I was going to ask you. So how did it is that you guys plan? Like, did you ever got orders at the same time, the two of you guys, to have to leave? How do you manage that in the military? And if your leader, the people that are above you, know the circumstance, so how do you guys manage that? And one of the things that I wanted to reinforce to is about men. They go out and work, and when they clock out of their job, it's done. They come home and it's done. Their job is done. For we women, we work outside of the house, come home, and we, like Karla said, we still have to be, there is an expectation. You will go home and your husband will be there probably before you, and then we will be asking you, what are we gonna eat? Hello? You were right? Right?
You got here first.
And there is expectations of woman, like, this is your role, this is what you do. How do we and relationship is a negotiation. You got to sit and negotiate. Really, that's what being in a relationship, right? So how do you guys sit down and said, okay, I'm gonna get deployed, so you're gonna stay with the kids, and next time maybe you will go and get deployed. How do you guys work that out?
Well, that's actually funny because we're going through that right now. So my husband, he was deployed last year. And then I am deploying this year. So we're kind of going through that transition right now. But he is, when he was getting deployed and getting ready and stuff, he kind of gets into a mindset. I would say everybody gets into a mindset, like they're about to leave. I need to get into the mindset and pull it together inside so that when you leave, it's not too difficult. When he got into that mindset, I think it was very easy for him to leave because he knows when he leaves, I am just going to have to work extra hard to make sure everything falls in line, you know. This time, now that I'm leaving, I think he's struggling a little bit. He's like, I need you to take a step back months in advance so I can make sure, like, I'm good to play the daddy role and the job role and make sure, like, everything's
so he's
good.
prepared. But I think that's quite nice that he is preparing himself for his full role as the dad and the center of the house. When my husband used to deploy, yes, it's true. There is a time of separation where you start like getting ready, mentally ready to leave your loved ones behind, and I think also for your loved ones to be apart. It's kind of like it is a strange, but it does happen when you start to not to count with that person too much and starting to do your schedules and what you're gonna do by yourself and your kids. The same thing is when they come back. There is a period where your kids are like, well, I haven't had to ask you for a lot for permission before. You weren't here, so it takes a time to.
It's definitely
to click the family together. So communication is always very important. Now we have many ways to communicate. But I remember when my husband, we are talking, gosh, we have been married 30 years, so 25 years or whatever, but he will be like only being able to call me like once a week or something, or he have to wait online for the phone and things like that. And now you don't have to do that. So that's really good.
Depending on the location, sometimes the communication, you think we would have gotten a lot better at this, but the communication and Wi-Fi can be very spotty. So conversations.
We didn't have no Wi-Fi, girl. It was like line phone.
So there's a lot of struggle, a lot of give and take in the relationship, and I think you just have to be up to take the role. You have to just be, we call it being Superman or Superwoman. You just have to be Superman or Superwoman. And then you also have to, if you plan to not really take a step back from your job, then you have to really be Superwoman or Superman. So it takes a lot.
That's another thing. Right now she's one of the leaders in her unit. So that means that she have to watch over multiple people. And when I'm saying this, in the military, it's not like, oh, you go to work from 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and that's it. You clock out, whatever. Nah, it doesn't work that way, right?
No, it doesn't.
You are in charge 24/7, and you have to be pretty much available to the people that you supervise, and whoever. and you have to be ready to go. So it is, as I say, for me, I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of women in the military because it is a huge challenge. Mentally, physically, it is a challenge. Mm-hmm.
Bernice, and I had a question about your kids. How do you see them moving around, and also seeing you leaving and your husband leaving? I'm pretty sure you look so young. I was telling Karla, you look like you're 15 years old. So, and I know your babies are probably young. So how do you see them coping with moving around and you leaving and they're not seeing you for a period of time, or your husband not being there? How do they cope? Because we talk about Army brats and we talk about military brats, that they get moved around a lot and they don't feel rooted in anything because of their parents being military. They know that you're not staying in that place for a long time. How do you think they cope at that young age?
Right. So we, I would say it's a culture. The military culture, the military life is what we like to call it. But really is, we get them interacted with other military kids, so they're kind of all feeling the same thing. But also everywhere we go, we get them involved into things. So we always try to get them tied up into things. We never allow them to sit and linger and just think about how they have to make new friends, or how we have to move again. We make it exciting. Hey, we're going to this new place. We're going to do new things. We're going to experience Japan, or we're going to experience Washington, and but also keeping us like really, in touch with family and stuff. So we're really close to my husband's family and my family as well. So ensuring that they also have the family aspect to it, but letting them know as well, like, hey, this is our military family. So I take my kids around my job. I've taken them to my work a couple of times, and then so they know that mommy and daddy are in the military, and they know what we do. And we also communicate with them. So my youngest, she's 5 years old, but we definitely communicated to her, like, hey, daddy's deploying, or mommy's gonna deploy, so I'm gonna be gone for a little bit. So I definitely keep the open communication, so at least they know that something's about to happen. We don't try to sit there and surprise them at all. It doesn't work out.
And it's so funny because she made a comment to me a couple of weeks back, like, about brushing the hair of your daughter. And I thought that was really fun, because I went through that in the sense that I don't deploy, but when I left to go visit my family for a couple of weeks or whatever, my daughter had to stay with my husband, and she's 25 now, and she's still is ingrained in her head, like, my dad will put like a ponytail here and another one over here, and oh my God, I had to go to school like that. So one advice: make sure you teach him how to.
We actually did. We sat down. Okay. We sat down. My husband sat down, and he's very motivated to learn, or at least try to assist, because she's starting kindergarten this year. So I was like, oh my God, we can't send her to school looking crazy. So he sat down. It took him over an hour to do her hair, and it was just to put her hair in a ponytail.
Oh my God.
But yes, he did it. So we were proud of him.
Yes. So I think also through deployments, it would be a way for him to really appreciate everything you do.
Yes.
Because he had to do it himself, and also get him very close to the kids. So it would be a good thing.
A very good thing. I think it would be
a good thing to
yeah, and that's something about deployments too, is that a lot of times I think people think it's kind of couples are growing further apart, but I think throughout the deployments, when somebody leaves, we realize how much they did in the household. So I realized how much my husband did. I actually didn't know what day they were coming to pick up the trash cans. So I had to find out. It's just like things I never do around the house.
Yeah, because we tend to separate certain roles, like you are in charge of this, and yeah. And then when those deployments, those times of separation come around, when you're like, oh my God, he actually does a lot, you know? So
Yes.
Sometimes it's good to have the other person not there, so you can appreciate what they do.
Yeah,
What they do for you.
that's true.
Any do you have? I wanted to and that's in the military, but and I listen to my daughter when she speaks about her coworkers and stuff like that, the ones that are married, the ones that have kids. Right now there is a lot of moms are being asked, I won't say forced, but asked to come back to the office after COVID. And of course teleworking has really impacted women because, and I think in a positive way, because they have been able to want to keep their jobs. A lot of other women during COVID were had to leave their jobs just because they have to take care of the kids because they weren't going to school, all kinds of stuff. And women, no man, I didn't hear that many men staying at home, with the kids. And that brings us to a very important issue, the issue about wage gap, So the one that is going to stay at home is the one that probably bringing less money because you need the income, the higher income to be able to sustain your family. So the wage gap is something that it is a reality. Women, I was researching yesterday, we made 82 cents from every dollar that a man makes. So there is a huge gap. In 2017, it was 80. So in 5 years, we have been able to close the gap by 2 cents. I mean, seriously. So it's gonna take 40 years to make it the dollar to dollar. Hopefully not. And again, vote, women. We need to show that our vote is powerful. Yes. That we have a voice. That we or things that interest us are important, and they are. They are. It's not just a women's issue. It's a cultural. It's a society.
Yeah.
So we need to participate. If we we have to play in the game. We have to participate. So
I'm back. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're talking about internet connection. Imagine when and we Bernice, you probably was not even born. But we had to buy calling cards too to call back home,
Yes.
So and now, having internet problem is like,
oh my God,
get crazy about it, right? What is one of the things that you would like to see change in the armed forces? What it is you would like? I always think, and talking about family, that personally, I think that the military is not family oriented. For me, I think that way because I think when you separate people, relationship for a period of time is hard on a relationship. I mean, married into somebody and living with somebody for so long and it's still difficult. And now separating these two people for a period of time, it's hard. It has to be hard. So I don't think myself that is family oriented. I think that military should be just for single people that really don't have that. But that's me. That's what I think. So what do you think about that? Because I think separating somebody for a year, a couple years is hard.
Yeah. So I guess the Air Force has we are like the change of that, right? So the Army, they deploy a year at a time, but the Air Force, we only deploy 6 months at a time. And then it's 2 to 1. So you have every 2 days, you have dwell time for every day that you were deployed. So that is something that has changed. 6 months to civilians might seem like a very long time to be away from your spouse. In the military, it's not, 6 months goes by pretty fast. But is there still a divorce rate issue in the military? Yes, there is still a divorce rate issue in the military. I think, honestly, having families in the military, I think your married couples that are strong or somebody who has a really good support system, those are your leaders. Normally, your leaders have a really strong support system at home. If you're single, you're coming home, you don't really have a strong support system at home. There's very few that make it high up in rank because that support system, you really need a strong support system at home to go far in the military, I think, personally. But I also feel as though, yes, your children make it difficult, but I feel like children make it difficult to do anything if you're both having a really strong career, because they have their sports and school, and you have to make sure you spend time with them and take care of them. But also, going back to the really strong support system in the military is just, I think, is really key. But I think the military can also work on providing better programs for when people come back from deployment, transitioning back to home life. I think that's important. I think even if you have a really strong marriage, when you come back, there's always that moment, that time where you guys are still trying to get to know each other again, because 6 months can change somebody. So I think if we worked on those programs and people don't want to go to marriage counseling, or they may think their marriage is fine, or they can take care of it at home or something like that. But if we, made these programs mandatory, you guys have to go, right? I think that might make a difference. Even if you guys are doing fine, but you may want to work on little things here and there, spending time together.
There's always room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement. I agree.
And I think... I personally think that the military, especially the Air Force, they have a lot of programs available to the military personnel that I don't think that they use enough.
Yeah.
And as I say, is that part of recognizing that you need help, and that maybe you don't need help, but you just want to improve your communication, you just want to improve how you organize yourself, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of programs. I remember when we were living in Germany, and I had my daughter. She was about 13 years old, a teenager, and I'm coming from a different culture, my husband from another culture, and we, things that to me was like, hey, no way. For him, it's like, I don't see anything, So we actually had to go to, at that time, it was called Family Support Center.
Yeah.
And we went to this amazing program, improve the way our household worked so much. So, but I think, and I was an advocate of using whatever programs are available, because if you don't use them, they go away.
Now, I would say that those programs are definitely there, and some people take advantage of those programs. Other people, especially your younger marriages or your younger couples, they don't necessarily take advantage of those, and I would say that is probably the rocking point to whether or not they're going to stay together in the military, especially if they just went through a deployment or a long extended period away from each other. It makes it difficult.
Yeah, so I think that the military, of course, there is always, room for improvement, and I think the military member, one, needs to take more advantage of those programs.
Yes.
That way, as I say, they don't disappear, or they say, well, they're not being used, maybe there is not a need, etc., etc. But I think you definitely need a family support. And you said something about whose career or something is going strong, is going, So
Yeah.
sometimes maybe not both can be.
That is true.
Can be, because there is a reality, and I experimented myself. Everything is tied up with with who's making the money and who's gonna stay at home holding the fort together, and things like that. It's all tied up with that. So
there is a reality, and
it
I
is
would
a
say
reality.
a lot of times couples have to choose whose career is going to thrive and who's going to kind of take that step back. And they can both be what we call the power couple in the military, but normally there's one that is kind of leading the family. So
in that I will say, that is going to be the one that is going to make rank faster. That is going to be, and the other one is going to be the lead as well, but making sure the family is well taken care of, that your kids thrive. That it's like a company,
right? It is. You always need
somebody
there to take them to appointments, or maybe get them to their sports on time, or to school on time. And the one that is leading the family and career wise is they probably have a morning meeting or a late afternoon meeting, and so they probably can't make those things a lot of times. But so you need it's a balance. It's a balance.
Definitely it is.
Give and take in the relationship. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think also it translates to civilian force to workforce. Where maybe the woman is gonna be like, she works, but she also have to maybe delay a little bit that leadership role and let it to her husband, or vice versa. But as I say, everything goes back to that wage gap. That's something that needs to be fixed, because why are we gonna be making less money for the same job?
No, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Oh my God, my internet. I had to switch to my internet from my phone, because it looks like the internet from here is not working that well. But my other question was, so you guys are talking about a wages gap in the military for women?
No, not in the military, but I'm saying in the civilian world. Because in the military, I think in the military, and as a I'm a civilian, so I work for the Department of Defense. So we have established pays. Everyone in that rank or in that
based on rank, right?
They make the same money. You could be woman, you could be a man, whatever you want to be. You will make the same money for the same rank and the same
and I was
work.
thinking about getting to the Air Force, and I had people that got offended. At one point I was a military wife, and I remember that my ex-husband, he was in the Army, and people get offended when I said, like the Army is probably the bottom of the military. How hard do you have to work to get up on your ranks in the Air Force? Because I don't think it's that hard to work yourself into being official or getting these ranks. How hard and you have to work to get into that level? I got people that said, I said, well, I don't know. I think the Army is probably the part of the Air Force, of the Armed Force, where you have to work really hard.
So each branch promotes differently. I think the Army, they encompass your PT tests, your physical fitness, as well as a lot of their, evaluation reports, and I think a couple of other things. They kind of look at the overall person. The Air Force, we promote basically the same way, but the way the promotion system works is a little different. Of course, like most military branches, you kind of get time in service, so you get your first few stripes time in service. As far as making an NCO, which is your junior enlisted tier, you have to test in the Air Force. So in order to make that rank, is you not only have to be really good on your evaluation report, but you also have to test out of your job. So, and the Air Force. So both the Air Force knowledge and your job knowledge. And then, of course, after that, to make senior NCO, it is all boarded. So they look at all of your EPRs, your evaluation reports, and they take a look at everything and how you did throughout your career. And that's how they board you and determine if you're going to make the senior NCO ranks in the Air Force.
So it is. I think it is very competitive.
It is very competitive.
And the higher you go up in the rank,
yes,
the percentage of promotion shrinks.
It is.
It shrinks.
It definitely shrinks. It does get harder to make it. To make Tech Sergeant is probably one of the hardest ranks to make. You not only have to. It's very competitive to make Tech Sergeant, but you also have to test out of it. And then after that, to make Master, it is a very big step to make Master. It's a very, very big step to make Master. You're part of the senior NCO tier, so now your percentage of making it gets really slim. And then, of course, there are a lot of people that are eligible to make the same rank, so you have to go up against everybody.
You have to compete like thousands of people.
With thousands and thousands of other people,
Wow.
yes.
Yes, it is.
No, there is a period of time when you join the forces that you have a time to do that. Like you cannot apply or qualify to get up into ranks till you in there for a year or 2 years. There's a period of time that they give you.
So we were talking about our airmen. So as soon as you join, you have to go to tech school, learn your job, and then there is a period of time that you have to spend in the military with good conduct in order to make the next rank. And then of course after that, then you have, it's normally every 2 years, depending on when you put on.
Mm-hmm. Every 2 years. But I wanted to one thing I kind of find out when I was doing my research yesterday, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and this have to do a little bit more with what women in leadership positions. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that women in the leadership position in the Air Force or whatever in the Air Force, do they really support each other? Or is it more of a competition?
That is a difficult question.
Right? It is.
I would say as a...
And the higher you go in rank, since it's more difficult to make rank, competition becomes fearless.
Yes. So I would say the military in general, I think we have an issue, no matter what rank you're at, is we have an issue of tearing each other down, right? Because the competition is there. If you're really competitive, we call it,
It's okay, you can say it.
So basically, it's very competitive. So the competition's there. So a lot of times, we do have that issue of tearing other females down when we should be uplifting one another.
Thank you.
And then as you get into the higher tiers of promotion and of rank, it does get harder to promote. So a lot of times, people are really at each other's necks. However, I would say that if you and I have promoted this to the utmost, if we just support one another, and you do your thing and I do my thing, and we just uplift each other, we're going to make it regardless, right? If you are doing the right thing in the military, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're helping out your people, you're actually taking care of your people, you will get promoted.
Yes. So that brought me to this theory. I don't know if you ever have heard about it. It's called the shine theory.
The shine theory.
Yeah. And it started, actually it had to do with the, this is two ladies that have this podcast. And that's exactly what you just said, that's the whole thing. The shine theory. You don't shine by yourself. You shine more with other people around you. So there is this thing where we need to support as women, especially in this, I would say on these careers where are male dominated, that we have to support each other.
We do.
That we have to and they call this term amplifying, which is where every time you have that opportunity, even if it's not your idea, but someone is say, oh, so and so had this idea, you amplify each other.
Yep.
Right? And you guys get you make sure the other person gets the credit, and it's a vice versa. And you every time there is a meeting, every time there is you bring the female presence there.
Yes.
So one of the things that I wanted to say is, Bernice, you think it's because of the environment that is there that creates that? I know I want to say by nature, we women compete a lot, but it's because of the expectations that are created for us. They expect more from us, so I think you think it's the environment also that creates that competition because...
Yeah, I would say it's by what you said, by nature, but also the environment. It's already difficult to be a female in the military. You're constantly trying to be the best you can be. And when you have another female who's at the same level as you, and at the end of the day, you both are going to have to compete on paper for a rank at some point, I think that's when you start to do stuff that you probably shouldn't do. Then you start competing with the female because you feel as though your real competition is the person next to you. And it's this other female in the squadron, right? So, when in reality, you both should be competing against everybody else in the squadron. So,
as both, a female,
as together as a team.
As a team.
Did you see a difference between men and women when it comes to that? You think men are more supported? And I was thinking with men, and also I was thinking if that competition, I was thinking military, you work together because you need each other, really. At times you have to be in places secluded only with that person that you gotta trust.
Yes.
Because you're not home. You got to trust. So how is that work when you are competing with someone for this position, but at the same time you have to work together, and you have to rely and depend on the other person to support you and protect you and have your back?
Yes, 100%. We go to work, and I think that's probably the hardest thing in the military is you all have to work together, but at the same time you have to not necessarily outshine, but you have to work harder than the person next to you. So you all have to work as a team, but in order to be the top person in the squadron or the group, you have to do more. So it's a little difficult. I think that's the most difficult part, and that's what really creates that competitive environment, is that you actually do have to compete with each other at the end of the day. But at the same time, you all have to go to work. You have to work together. You have to be respectful. You still have military rank and military rank that you have to respect. So all that stuff. That's probably the most difficult thing about being in the military, is you're not only competing, but you also have to work as a team. And at the end of the day, you guys have to stick up for one another.
Exactly, but I think it goes with females in nature. I think we are kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think it's because there was expectations that are put out there for us. There is expectations. You got to be pretty. You got to look certain way. You got to they created this list of things that we have to be, and I think that for some reason I'm learning more and more, even with our body, that I have right now there is a problem with our body. We have a problem with our body when it comes to we want to change, because they're telling us that you have to look certain way in order to be beautiful. So I think it overall is culture that women are set up. So I think as I get older, I just know that I'm gonna stay in my lane. I don't have to look like anybody. I'm not gonna go in and compete with you. And when you understand who you are and what what you really love to do, you're not gonna be looking at other people what they're doing. Let me just, but I think it has to do overall inside and outside of the armed forces. For women, there's more expectations when it comes to looks, when it comes to even here in this country. I think like we have not elected a woman president. And I think of that. And the woman that runs, the expectations, I'm going to go in into a little bit of politics.
But you know what is the saddest thing is that we as women, as we say, we tear each other down. Why? I mean, as I say, we ourselves.
Yeah.
Why can we, as this term that I just find out, amplify each other? We have to stop being the victims of the culture and society. I mean, move on. We need to push and to leave those biases and behind. I mean, how long are we gonna be with this thing that you gotta be a certain way, blah 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 blah. You don't have to. You have to accept that. And there is certain truth about well, if you want to be, and I see it because my daughters and stuff, social media. You have to do certain things to be like, or to do to get certain benefits. I guess money. I don't know. But I think we have to start moving away from that. Mm-hmm. And Yazmin says something very important, knowing each other, but yourself. But I think that's something that it comes with maturity.
Yeah.
And it comes with knowing what you can bring to the table.
Yes.
Yes. And with that, what do you think are the different? Do you see differences between like a male in leadership, like male style, female style, about leadership?
I would say, so I don't see a huge difference, but I have had great female leadership and I have had great male leadership before, right? So I have experienced both. I would say that people tend to look at females and male leadership differently. One, I think it's personality-wise, right? So if a male is being very upfront and bold and rah 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 all day, but if a female does, like if he does it, they think, oh, he's a strong leader. He's a strong leader. But if a female does it, it just means, oh, she's being catty, or
he's winning those days.
Yes,
he win those days.
She's a bee.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Hillary Clinton, when she was running, and I had women of color telling me they didn't like her, and I said, so you are telling me that Donald Trump is better than Hillary Clinton? I mean, the only difference that they have is what they have between their legs. I mean, I was saying, like, okay, let's say she's a crook. Let's say she is all of these things. What is he? And I could not understand it. Mm-hmm. And again, we go back to those expectations. And it go back to, is we come out too strong, we are being a B. If a man does the same exactly thing, then he is a strong leader. Is we have to navigate that soft kind of thing, but we still have to be, and it's you too soft, nobody listens to you, people don't take you seriously because you're a woman, but it's then you're too stern, they say she is B. It's like, really?
Mm-hmm. So I heard that in leadership, the male leadership kind of like a style, you can see it as a pyramid, right? Whereas a woman, it works as a circle. So when we work with our counterparts, we have to work as for like collaboration, like a really collaborating. Well, however, with a male, we are this way, and they told you down what they want. we as women, to get for people to work for us, we have to get into that collaborating and seeing. They don't see as we are telling them what to do. It's more like we are recruiting them and kind of like guide them.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I have heard that is
that's
in leadership.
I think that's true. I think that is very true because especially in the military, right, people come from all over the world, right? All over the world with different backgrounds, and like I said, America, we're the furthest in the culture as far as females being in leadership roles. And then also, I don't want to say that people look at me like their mom, but
exactly. And I wanted to get to that point without getting in there. That's what I have heard. When we have those female leaders that are like CEO, whatever, they adopt this more of a mother role.
Yeah, I would say that is also.
It is true, right? Or more like a understanding. They work with the person in a way that person doesn't feel that is something that is like put down on them.
Right. And you're also dealing with other males, even they're lower ranking than you, right?
Yes.
So you're dealing with other strong alpha male personalities under you.
Yes.
So how do you approach them? Well, if I approach them as an alpha
Too
female,
strong,
it might not be. They might not be receptive. But the key thing about being in the military is, of course, being able to change your leadership per the airman or the NCO that you're dealing with. So
exactly, yeah. Being able, I think you have to be like more flexible. I think I also, as I say, that's one of the biggest difference that I have seen, that you have as a female, you have to collaborate more.
Yeah.
And how do you direct that person? In order to make them work for you, because you don't want to be hated. Of course, no one wants to be hated. No one wants to. But
leadership, I think one of the main things about leading is that you want people to want to work for you. That is what really a leadership is. When people want to do and work with you, that is leading. I was thinking, is for the fight that women had to do, we're still fighting for things. And in the United States, I see it going backwards when it comes to, we want to go back when it comes to women, but at the same time, I think that Karla, what you said was very interesting about the circle, because we by nature we have that. We want to nurture people and help people, And
I don't think there is nothing wrong with that. I think there is a time where we have to understand, and I think that's one of the biggest failures when you see women in leadership, that they feel like they have to do the same way as your male counterpart.
Yes.
Does. Well, guess what? No, you have been given other very strong abilities for you to be a leader, to guide people that the males don't have.
Yeah.
And why not to take advantage of it?
I agree. That's a very good point. Not only do you bring those strong abilities, but especially if you are a minority female, you bring something to the table that nobody else does. So
exactly,
you can definitely engage and connect with more people than we have before. So yeah, it's been
and you don't have to go into that people will feel threatened by you, and I think that's a huge positive, because people tend to be more open, tend to see you in another light, and tend to want to work with you. Of course, I always think that the more knowledgeable you are about the job, you just will get respect. Definitely. Become a SME at your job. Become a SME at your job.
Subject matter expert, yeah.
I
And
agree.
you will
People
get
definitely want to talk to you more, especially if you are a minority and you talk about your culture, and they can just relate just as much. So I think it definitely just brings you more connections in the military, especially because we're trying to be more diverse in the military, right? So we're trying to be more inclusive. So if we are striving towards that, does nobody any good if I come in here and act like somebody I'm not. And
Exactly.
if I tell you my background, but it's really not my background. So I just try to be as open and honest as possible.
And transparent is something so important that connect people. You know, it just connect people and bring people together. One of the things I was thinking is where did you see yourself in the armed forces? What is, maybe you don't have to answer it. What is your goal at the end of the day?
Yeah. Honestly, and this is why I try to tell my story to my airmen and NCOs so that they can feel more comfortable, because my story, I'm not, I call the gung-ho, I'm going to make rank and make it to chief. I call them Captain America's, right? But no, my story is a little different. When I joined, I wasn't actually expecting to make it this far. I didn't really know what I wanted to truly do. Honestly, I didn't really feel connected to my job until I was a staff sergeant. So we're talking like 5 years in the military. I didn't really feel connected. I still just felt like I was just going to work and coming home, and it didn't really happen until I got deployed, and then I realized what we do. I really connected the mission to my job and what I do and what I can bring to the table. So that's when I truly connected. But my story is a little different. I ended up getting a really good supervisor who I didn't know applied for me to get step promoted. So that when I had gotten step promoted in the military, step promotion's a little different from regular promotions. Normally the general walks in and they just promote you on the spot for something that you've been doing that has been great. So when that happened, I realized, I'm doing great things. I must be good.
So that brings another point into leadership. What leadership is recognizing people around you.
Yes.
And make them believe and let them know that what they're doing is good. And this applies for everything. This applies to your kids. This applies to your friends.
Exactly.
This applies to, because I think we really stop short from telling people around us how amazing they are.
This is true.
And we only see their faults, why they don't do, but we don't tend to highlight what they do.
Yeah.
And look at that person, that supervisor,
Yeah.
Makes such a huge difference. So you can be that person in the life of another person that can help them to discover who they are.
That's definitely important. Definitely important to recognize your people. When I had gotten recognized, I thought it was shocking. You don't necessarily, I guess when you look at yourself and you're just going throughout your day, you don't necessarily think you're like saving lives and
none of that stuff.
And none of that stuff, right? So when I had gotten step promoted, my eyes really opened. Like, oh, good things can really happen. And then I had gotten promoted again just 2 years later. So, and that really put me into the senior NCO tier. So now that I'm in the senior NCO tier.
Now it gets real.
Now it gets real. I have not stated I'm going to go for Chief Master Sergeant or anything like that. I have a lot of years left in the military. I still have 9 years left in the military to make 2 more ranks. So I'm not striving for the next rank. Honestly, I'm just trying to experience the military. What I've been trying to do, just experience the military. I would like to give back what was given to me. So just helping out my people. I just want to be a great supervisor. It honestly makes the military
way more bearable, way more fun, way more awesome if you have great supervision and a great leadership team and stuff. It just makes it way better. You get these people that are in the military, sometimes they feel like they're not a part of the military or they're not a part of the mission, and maybe they just need to make that connection. Yes, we just need way more leadership and supervisors.
And then you get other ones that are just so focused on their stuff, on making their rank, on making, that they miss everything else around them, and really can be detrimental to the group, to the unit. So
we have a very little short time. Already the timekeeper told me we got about 3 minutes. So I was thinking, one thing that you would like to see change in the military, what would be?
That's a difficult one. One thing I would like to see changed in the military. Like Karla stated earlier, there is a lot more minorities in leadership positions. I would like to see a bigger Hispanic base in the military in those leadership positions. I don't think we have enough. Even for Hispanic Heritage Month, I was looking for a Hispanic leader, and I only had, I think, maybe 2.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, so currently on the
McCord side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I am just hoping that we can bring some more diversity. We are already working towards it. I think we're already doing a great job. It's just a matter at this point of keeping our folks in, keeping them in the military, keeping them engaged, and of course, being good leaders to lead our airmen and ensigns.
And in reality, I think because I was in recruiting for a little time, and one of the things I remember they will talk about, it was about how the Hispanic community really didn't see military as being like an option for them, that many times as the parents didn't really want their kids to join, of course, because it's a big step, and you think, oh my gosh, they're gonna be in harm's way, and it is true, but it is also true that it gives you a lot of benefits. I think the Hispanic community is growing in United States in general, so it has to be represented in the military forces, in the police forces, on all those, in everything. We need to go and grow more on those areas. Medicine, engineering, everything else, because we have to have a representation, because if not, how are we going to progress as a community?
And visibility is very important. Just to be seen, and be part of that negotiation, sitting at the table, and to see somebody that represent the community is very important.
We need advocates,
Hispanic woman sitting on the table is very important. But we're gonna close the show. Bernice, I want to thank you, because I know you leave your babies at home. You got up early to be here. Thank you, and it was super, super nice. There's a lot of things that I learned, and I have my co-host Karla, that we did really, really good job. So I want to close the show, Siembra, just telling people, what will you tell a woman, a minority woman that would like to join the military? What will you tell her that is I walking right now as an 18-year-old Afro-Latina woman and say I want to join the Air Force? What would you tell me?
I would say do it. Take that step. Don't be scared. There's plenty of opportunities and benefits to join the Air Force. I'm promoting the Air Force right now.
Yeah.
So plenty of benefits. You can travel the world. You can take care of your education. You'll meet lots of people. And, of course, you'll get a different vision of the world. So definitely, if you're interested, go ahead and take that step. Don't be scared.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank you, Christian.
Labor Day weekend.
Gracias, Jazz. Gracias aquí a
Ok.
nuestra invitada y pues también a nuestra copresentadora Karla. Y bueno, pues aquí estaremos el próximo domingo en punto de las 9:30 de la mañana para el show Siembra. Gracias. Que tengan todos un lindo domingo.